Under a green banner saying "I care," Poland is hosting global talks on climate change. These, however, are not raising high hopes for world action to restrict temperature rise. This is the 19th such annual UN conference. Realists say a climate deal should allow countries to define their own CO2 emissions targets, since national priorities vary so much.
Well, I hope we can get everyone, to the table and to be honest and really believe in a binding agreement by 2015.
The motivational context for such an agreement is that global average temperatures have risen by 0.8 degrees Celsius since the Industrial Revolution and are set to exceed 2 Celsius, with a projected rise of 5 Celsius by the end of this century if nothing is done. To prevent more than a 2-degree rise, experts say mankind's 50 gigaton global annual output of greenhouse gas emissions will have to be more than halved by 2050. The different policies of the 192 countries at the conference mean that perhaps the best hope is to set some limits on emissions, then strengthen them over time. Poland, for instance, predominantly runs on coal, but it's a minor consumer compared with some emerging economies. China's appetite for coal is expected to make that the world's primary source of energy by 2020. Beijing is going to Warsaw conscious of its problems linked to pollution, but China insists that the countries that have been industrialized for longest bear a leading responsibility, saying they're the ones mostly at fault for planetary emission conditions today. All the countries are concerned, however, the great and powerful in relative order. China is the globe's biggest emissions producer, then the US, EU and Russia, as well as the small and poor, who don't enjoy the same benefits of industrialization and yet suffer from climate effects that it has contributed to. The United States never even ratified the Kyoto Protocol. The goals the US has agreed to aim for itself are far more modest than other Western countries, 1/5 that of Europe's target for greenhouse gas reductions, for example. This is about historically rich northern countries' public resources going to developing countries to support action. When the rich are in recession, the developing are energy hungry to catch up, and the poor are suffering the most.